Well, first of all, I met my husband in that show, Taye Diggs. He and I became friends first, and then about 5 months into our Broadway run, we started dating. And so that's obviously a very important part of it. And the most important part was that, for those that don't know the story out there, our composer and writer, Jonathan Larson, he was about 36 at the time, and he had just quit his job at the nearest diner and got his grant to do this off-Broadway down in the East Village, and he passed away from an aortic aneurysm on the night of our dress rehearsal. He did this amazing article with the Times, interview with the New York Times, which was like a dream for him. And then he went home that night, and this horrible thing happened. So we were all really young then, and I think it was, if there was something good that came out of it, it was that it grounded us as human beings and as these kids being taken on this crazy ride of the successful show, and sort of gave us a foundation. And for me, I know it made me feel that I had to learn to really try to embrace every moment. And we were singing his words and his lyrics, which mirrored his life in very many ways. And so for us, it was like a nightly mantra, you know, to not take things for granted. And so I've tried to keep that perspective. Of course, you know, I lose sight of it very often, but I try to come back to it all the time and thank him for that lesson, I guess.
Well, Rent, of course, has enjoyed a remarkable run on Broadway. Why do you think it was such a huge hit? I mean, why is it that it's...
Well, and it wasn't such a huge hit here, apparently, in London.
No, but Broadway, I mean, just took it by storm, didn't it?
It did. It was just very honest for what it was. I think that it had this just raw quality.
What is the story for those?
Okay, the story is La Boheme, the opera. It's taken from that, and it's about a bunch of struggling artists in downtown East Village, Manhattan, and it's sort of about life and love and trying to keep your artistic integrity and yet make your dreams come true. And it deals a lot with HIV and AIDS and the community and how people were dealing with losing their loved ones.
Now, as well as the stage version, you also starred in the Hollywood version of Rent. Is that not true? In the film? Well, tell me about those two experiences. How did they compare for you?
Well, first of all, none of us did it 10 years later, after we had left. And Chris Columbus was the Hollywood director, and he actually hired us, which is unprecedented. I mean, we never get to, you know, if I get hired to do the Wicked movie, I'll be playing her grandmother or something. So that was just an unbelievable experience. And for us, most of us, to be reunited on set doing that was just, I have to say, just a lot of fun. And artistically, creatively, it was great to rediscover a character, kind of, you know, having a little bit more experience. And 10 years later, coming back to it, for me, having a little bit more confidence always makes a big difference. And I take more chances and make more daring choices. And
well, how did the team go about, you know, transferring the piece for the big screen? I mean, were there major changes made or any changes made?
Yes, one thing I don't know if I agree with so much, it was an operetta, is that what you call it? Yeah. And he took a lot of the sung...
the recitative.
Thank you, recitative. I can't say that without my tongue getting stuck. And he turned it into dialogue, which I don't know if I agreed with that. I just think people are so set in what they've seen on stage and what they experienced the first time. If you change it too much, you know.
One of the things that strikes me, though, about your body of work, Idina, is that you've sort of touched on it before. You've managed to carve a career on stage, on screen, and on record. I mean, is the variety important to you?
Yes, it's important to me because, I mean, it's not inorganic. It's when I was young, I grew up listening to Evita and Annie and Dreamgirls and wanted to be on the Broadway stage. And then when I was about 15, my parents split up and I had to get a job. And instead of getting a job, you know, at a retail store or something, I was a wedding singer at weddings and bar mitzvahs at a really young age, 15, 16 years old, started driving around illegally to these gigs with these guys. So then I had to learn all this music, you know, at these weddings. You have to know jazz and swing and the newest pop songs and Motown and rock and roll, all that kind of stuff. So
a huge repertoire.
yeah. And then it really made me want to do other kinds of music. And then that made me want to start writing my own music. And then it came full circle when the Rent thing happened. And so I've just always been a hybrid but struggled with trying to define who I was and feeling like I didn't want to confuse the industry because they often don't want you to be too many things. It's too difficult for them. So, but now that I'm a more mature woman, I'm owning my, what should I say, my versatility. And, this is where I've been. I've spent years here in these shows, and I also was that little lounge singer wedding girl, and I studied classically when I was a kid, and now I like to sing rock and roll and write music, and I'm just going to kind of do it all, and if I get the opportunities, then so be it, you know?
It's fantastic to be able to move amongst all those different genres. Tell me about working on the Disney film, Enchanted.
Oh, that was fun. That was... to be in a Disney movie is a milestone, I would say, in your career. It was just wonderful. I had to take ballroom dancing classes, and I showed up to my first day of rehearsal was with Patrick Dempsey from Grey's Anatomy and James Marsden, the other gorgeous guy from The Notebook, that movie. I don't know if you guys had it here.
Yeah.
But they're both unbelievably beautiful men, and I had to show up at this rehearsal literally, and they put their arm around my waist and the other hand in the hand and started learning how to do a waltz across the floor, and I was terrible. I was so starstruck. I didn't want to step on their feet. I didn't know if my breath was bad. It was exhilarating but terrifying, and I liked being in that movie. Actually, people say, well, you didn't sing in it. And I was kind of relieved not to sing and be hired as an actress. It's kind of nice.
Idina, we have one role in common, and that, of course, is Florence in Chess.
Yes.
Now, you appeared at the Royal Albert Hall's recent concert production of that musical. What's the appeal of chess for you?
Well, honestly, without sounding like I'm kissing butt here in London, but it was you. It was You're someone I really am inspired by. You don't want me to say any of that? She's shaking her head, everybody out there. Come on. I know I'm embarrassing you.
It's a great score, isn't it?
Yes, it's a great score and a great writers. And but honestly, I was inspired. I've been inspired by you and your voice. You're not going to put it in. You better not edit this out.
I think we're going to have to move on to the next question pretty quick.
No, because for me, it is a big deal to try and attempt to follow in someone like your footsteps. So there you have it. And if you cut that out, I'll kill you.
Oh, you're very kind to say all those lovely things. Now, listen, having performed it, though, now, what would you say? I mean, would you say it's time for a fully staged production of Chess again?
Sure.
Is this something you'd like to do on stage, 8 shows a week?
I don't know about the 8 shows a week. You've set a pretty high standard with the keys. Oh, my God. Yes, I would love to try that if it works out. And this was a great group of people here in London that we worked with. And, and to be an American, come to London at Royal Albert Hall and sing your role is quite a daunting task.
Well, the Albert Hall itself is a daunting task,
yeah.
isn't it? How did that feel?
It was overwhelming. We hadn't done it, well, I probably shouldn't say, but we hadn't had a lot of rehearsal, and there we are. And I was actually getting more stressed off stage because I couldn't find I'd make an exit. And I'd look at the stage manager like a deer in headlights. Where am I supposed to be next? And there's 2 levels. They use the 2 levels on the stage. To upstage left. I have no freaking idea how to get there. There was literally 2 different times where I had no escort, and I was walking around by myself at Royal Albert Hall in my heels and my dress, and frantic, hearing the music going, watching my cue get closer and closer.
Oh, frightening stuff. See, nobody understands all that, do they?
No.
Come on, you with such ease and confidence, nobody would know that at all, I have to tell you.